why now open the floodgates? Why not? Especially when everyone included with an audit, they expect to receive it in 90 days, as I understand it. Transfer a smaller sum, keep a tighter grip, if you might say. Why 42?
Well, for one, if we can afford to, I feel that a lot of that money should go to projects. We were able to put so much money into our reserve because of ARPA funds. ARPA funds was given to us, I think, I think it was around 78 million, 38 million one year and then another 38 million the next year, which allowed us to free up our monies to do things. But that money has to go to, to projects and things of that nature. That was what that money was designed for. So putting that money into the reserve, and honestly, I thought about it before I knew any of this happened. I had called the court coordinator and I said, listen, I want to be exact. How much money do we have in our emergency reserve? And he told me 52 million. And I'm like, but can we do something with that money? Because I understand, I knew that, we couldn't give raises this year, but once again, I didn't know that we were in such fine, we were at the point that we were at, that we couldn't make payroll out of our general fund. And I said, I know we can't give raises, but I want to do something for our employees. I just want to know. And he reminded me, this is one-time money, and we don't spend one-time money to take care of raises, because if it's one-time money, what are you going to do the next year? Which I understand that. I'm like, you're absolutely right. He brought it to my remembrance. I'm like, okay, so we can't spend it to give raises, but we can do something good with this money. And I think we need to move some of it out of our emergency reserve, because it really just doesn't belong there. And that was just a conversation I had with the coordinator, court coordinator. I had not presented this to anybody, because next thing I know, we have this financial crisis. So since we had 52 million in our reserve, we needed 9 million by law in that reserve. So we left that there, and we're just like, look, let's just put the money into our general fund, because we're going to have to make payroll again and again and again throughout the year. And
treated it as a set-aside?
I'm sorry?
Treated it as a set-aside or an encumbrance?
Yes.
Already pledged.
So, yeah, so we just put the money there, and it should have been in the general fund anyway, or some type of fund to do good with, other than just, not saying that emergency reserve is not a good place to put it, but emergency reserve is just that, for something that we don't ever want to touch.
Like the proverbial tornado.
Yeah, yes. Yes, you have a question.
This was all local money, right? Because I was down at the main library when 6 members of Congress came to town, because apparently $18 million disappeared from HUD. And you're saying the money has not disappeared, and it's
Correct.
all local money, right?
Correct.
I was the only person down there wearing a little sign about the War Powers Act, which they changed immediately. We wouldn't have gone to war.
Let's not go into that level of discussion. We're looking right at the county right now. One thing that came across when I was comparing what I could find out in the city budget process and financial reporting with the county is the county, I might give a gift of this, and you're my personal JP, I'm a constituent. I recommend that the county JPs make a resolution to seek this National Finance Officers Association Gold Star of accreditation for excellence in handling your finances. And the city did some things to earn that Gold Star. They're so proud of it. They put it at the front of their 25 budget when I went flipping through there. And I wanted you to have that so you could do the same thing for the county.
Okay, thank you.
Got a pledge.
Thank you very much, yes.
Thank you, Madam JP.
And I'm going to tell you, and I don't have my budget book because that was in 2025, and I didn't really know that I would read it again. And when I realized, well, I knew I was coming today, but I really didn't think about needing a budget book, and the offices were closed, so I couldn't get there to get one. And my printer doesn't work at home because you can't pull one offline, 2025 budget for Pulaski County. But,
Might wanna change that and keep them up available for previous years. That's one thing the city does, is you can go back year to year.
yes, and you can get, that's what I'm saying, you can go to our Pulaski County website, and you should be able to pull our 2025 budget.
Good.
But as we're going to do this coming budget process, we always take the year that we're in, every department, and we have hundreds of departments. We look at that department, when we're talking to each department to see what they've spent for that year, or what we've already approved for their budget for 2025. We look at what they're needing for 2026. Typically, especially the past couple of years, the budgets have been the same, except for like fringe benefits, that's gonna go up. But other than that, many of the other departments are the same. And if they stay the same, then we just lump them in one pile and say, we're gonna approve all the budgets that are the same, that didn't change. If someone needed extra money, monies or something like that, then we say, well, wait a minute, we're gonna talk to that particular department. So our budget process is much faster now. We may revise that and go back to the old way. The old way, it took us weeks and weeks and weeks because we talked to each department. We went down there, just down every line, yes. And, well, why do you need this much for this? And why do you need $500 for envelopes? And, just things of that nature. And it took forever. However, now, even if we find something in anybody's budget that we want to discuss, we will ask to speak to that department. But other than that, if their budgets are pretty much the same, we pass it. And we only want to typically deal with those who have a larger budget, have asked for an increase in their budget. We used to compare 3 budgets, the current year, the year that we're getting ready to approve, and the year before to see,
Timeline.
And so I think we did request to go back to that because we've now just gone to just 2 years, the year we're in and the year we're going to. But we want to see the 3-year in comparison. So we're going to go back to that.
Could you help me with one thing that was clearly a confusion Monday night? And that was the references to revised budget. And I remember that Controller Hutchins said, every time you voted an appropriation for $200,000 for some roof repairs, as an example, that revised the budget automatically. Well, I can understand that, and I follow city more than county, and I see the same sort of text narrative agendas. But what we also see that I'm wondering if you get is financial reports with dollar signs, like the city's first quarter report compares the numbers with what they've already identified as an amended budget. And their text tells us that anytime they're spending $50,000 or more, the board must approve it, and that amends the budget. They follow up the text with these financial reports, monthly, quarterly, and I talked with the director, Mr. Sarpy. He said basically we will amend our city budget about 3 times a year. And that means presenting dollar figures in a spreadsheet. Do you folks get that? Amended budget presentations on spreadsheets?
Not like this. I mean, the treasurer does send her treasurer's report.
But that doesn't track what you appropriated.
Correct. I like what you're.
May I recommend that you pursue that in the future?
Because we're all now kind of blindsided. And had we had this to just look at like this, we could say, because many of the JPs are saying, well, I didn't approve $30 million. I didn't do
They did
that.
say that, and they don't remember it.
Right,
because
right.
you didn't have the numbers.
Correct.
And the narrative just flows.
Correct.
Without a grand total.
And even I found myself saying to myself, I didn't do that, I didn't approve 30 million, but I'm like, but at the same time, I'm going to let the proof, I'm going to let them provide the proof. And that's, and I said, so I'm not going to just, I don't want to put out there that we didn't do this because apparently we did. So once they provide me with the proof, I'll know, what we did. And
so you've got something coming to you, but you don't have it, and it hasn't been part of your policy and practice. In other words, at the end of your narrative agenda, you could have the updated finance report, at least monthly,
And see,
which the city does. And in fact, I commend your attention, just going to the city finance department, they have a really nice display. Not only are all of the past year presentations there, but they'll have the monthlies and the quarterlies, and it's very clearly stated that they have amended the budget. They have columns, the original and the dollar added in the final new total, which is what you would find helpful.
yes, and we need to,
Need to start getting
yes,
that.
yes.
But the city's got some stuff that, well, anyone who knows me for any length of time knows that my favorite motto is steal from the very best. I'd go stealing from what the county, the city's doing. In addition, they gave something that would track back to the previous year's unknown shortfall or excessive spending, I'm sorry, that's the phrase used. When you look at the city's description, we're sitting here in 26, and it turns out that the first of the presentations on these items across the page, left to right, is the 24 budget final. And they make it clear in their notation that they have presented on this link everything that has finally come in on 24. Because as we all know, things trickle in. She refers to this carryover, for example, in the county, so we always know that these things aren't rigidly snatched time December 31st. And what they made clear was it changed significantly, and you should pay attention to it. And we have now accounted for every final dollar. I think that's why the National Finance Officers Association was giving them a gold star in accreditation, because they were tracking every little dollar all the way through, and they were willing to keep open a budget until everyone was accounted for that they needed to track. And that's something that I think might be useful in your current dilemma.
Is this for me?
You're welcome to keep all that. Yes, ma'am.
Because as I stated, we said we didn't approve an extra, we didn't spend $30 million, we didn't approve that. Well, we didn't approve spending $30 million exactly, but, because in April of 2023, we approved to carry over $30 million, that revised our budget. Once again, we asked for $8 million to go into, a contingency fund, I believe is what we, and then we put $22 million in our emergency reserve. Well, in 2024, we did the same thing in April, in both times in April. In April of 2024, we put $28 million into our, into our general fund, $28 million. Once again, we said we don't remember any of this. But we did, and we put $8 million into our emergency reserve, 8.5 into our emergency reserve, and we put $10 million into the contingency fund. I do remember the contingency fund, so that's how we got to all of that, but we honestly just were thinking, but once again, she's saying that we spent $30 million, so I would like to know, and that that's still under investigation. Where did we spend $30 million?
And you should. So, just as an example here, at the same December meeting that the city voted their 2026 budget just a few months ago, and that's their text for the board memo about the budget, and it's got just number, it doesn't have numbers, it's got dates. They came in and they made a final amendment to 2025, same amount. So they're going ahead to 26, but they're sweeping up all of the adjustments left over from this and that and the activity throughout the months of 25 into a final adjustment to the general fund line item. And it tells you what was spent, what the new number was, by $1.6 million, and it then goes into very specific numbers. The waste disposal fund, the vehicle storage fund, and so forth and so on. And it's, once again, the original adjusted expenditure final net. So then, when they finish 25 and start 26, they have the very latest numbers. So that's the kind of thing I'm recommending that you go look at the city stuff for. Anita?
I've got a quick question. I understand more of the federal funds or what have you. Do Pulaski County ever obtain growbacks? And if they do get growbacks, where does it go back to? Does it go back to the county or to the larger, bigger portion?
You mean money they can't spend goes back somewhere?
Like at the end of the year, if you have increased any of it and you have growback funds, do you send that back to the state or federally, or does it go back into Pulaski County? Because I'm
So it is spend it or lose it kind of situation?
do y'all ever have growback?
If we do, I'm really, I mean, are you referring to like grant funds?
No, so maybe the terminology is a little bit different. Growback is like, we still got, 800,000, or in y'all case, 2 million left over.
Now, that would be like our ARPA funds, in my mind. ARPA funds, we have until like 2026, which we're now to spend it. If you don't spend it, you
Spend it in a deadline or lose it, and it goes back to the original giver.
So I don't,
Oh, okay.
so I mean, we did that with ARPA funds, we spent our monies.
You spent the ARPA funds because it was spend it or give it back to the giver. And what's sitting there in the 52 million is, the next column, which is local revenues, our tax dollars as it were. And they've just been accumulating these because that we hold until you choose to spend it at the time of your choosing.
Correct.
Okay, so there's not a set limit, like with the federal funds, you have one fiscal year to spend certain appropriations?
No, there's not.
Okay. Sorry.
They maneuvered that policy, so the time clicking category was spent properly on a time base.
Okay.
And what they're holding is, local taxes, which can be held until, will be held until they appropriate it, period. There is no timeline.
Thank you, I didn't know that, thank you.
Any other, Robert?
One Saturday morning, not long ago, I was standing in the hall listening to a guy who wants to be a judge in this county, and he was talking about making sure employees have health insurance for their spouse and children, which is a noble goal, and I was more worried about they would go to the money for my trails. So in anticipation, I mean, he will have to ask all the JPs, but if this better health insurance is provided because he's judge, what's that gonna do to our budget?
Well, I can tell you, we can't afford that. I wish we could, we can't afford that. I work every day, I want everyone to have health insurance, so I definitely.
We talking about a circuit judge here?
No, your candidate.
Well, the county judge.
Because
He was saying what?
For our county, Pulaski County Judge Griffin wants to have a better health insurance package.
Well, the benefits for the employees, yes.
And if they can find one, I definitely put it like that. If we can find one, I definitely would support it. As of right now, we cannot afford that. I think we used to take care of spouses, but it was so expensive that the majority of them didn't want it. So, it was cheaper for us to just take care of the employee. I do understand now that some employees at the sheriff's department, they want that, they want to be able to take care of their spouse. Well, that's gonna cost a lot more money, and I don't know if we can't afford that. I don't know if it's gonna be advantageous for us to do so. However, once again, if they find a plan that we can afford, I'm in support of that.
Question. is there any prospect for, combining the county payroll employees in an insurance plan with another group where you get the benefit of a larger group and reduced premiums?
Honestly, I don't know, like, who would they partner with?
Two possibilities that I would suggest you at least ask, the risk of Lewis being polite and say no, is the city of Little Rock with the county, and then the other would be the municipal league, which has a variety of insurance activities. And I don't know them all, but I know enough to say, what about it?
Well, as I said, I'm definitely in support of whatever we can do, and if it works, I mean, I'm definitely in support of that, and considering in about, I don't know, 8 or 9 months, we're going to have a new judge, and I don't know well, we're not sure if that judge is going to be just yet, but if it's who we're hoping is going to be, I mean, if he has some type of plan, has worked, you know, because it does take a lot of negotiation between the comptroller and the judge, and we're not really privy to that part. They just present to us the different packages, and then we decide that this is what, you know.
But this is those classic payroll ongoing expenses. You need to be able to finance year in and year out. Just to sort of make a cruelty joke here, what about all the tax revenues we're going to get in to the Google data center and the Roswell data center? Is that going to give us a great quantity of new local tax money that we can spend on such as this?
I honestly don't know
I keep hearing stuff like that.
I honestly don't know. We were not privy to that. You know, the judge makes economic deals all the time, as well as the new judge, and he doesn't reach out to us to ask our advice. He, you know, goes forth and does what he desires to do. And I understand that this is not very popular, and it's not very popular with me, I would say that. There's, you know, there's a lot of bad coming with this, and I understand there's some good coming with it, so I don't know. I know that some of us are fighting these data centers. I'm not in support of them, but they're probably coming whether I like it or not, but I will fight to the end, yes ma'am.
So earlier you mentioned that you would want the money to be spent on projects that you feel like would do good. What are some of those projects that I mean, like, in an ideal situation, like you had the money and you could...
Yes, okay, well, we did give $750,000 to you or to their housing. And that's because I wanted to see something in my community, and that's
Right next to you or
yes,
where you live.
yes.
Okay.
Well, I did not because of that, but
Partly because of that.
that's the area that they were working in, buying houses to, you know.
That is their area of function, right?
Yes, but I don't have a problem ranching. I don't have a problem ranching out. It's just that we gave the money to them to do, and of course they wanted a lot more. But I was shocked that we gave $750. I was wow. But I'm glad that we did to, you know. Now I can't think of the word that I'm trying to use. What is the word I'm trying to use? Where they're building homes and the person has to stay in the home for X amount of years. They can't just buy a
It's an
house.
affordable home and they make a contract to stay in the affordable home,
Yes.
or else they have to pay if they're leaving early.
Yes, they can't sell it because, you know, that's what people are trying to do. They're trying to go in, buy homes and then flip them, you know.
And they block that, yes.
But that's something like that I support. Something else that we were going to do is, we were planning to give, well, let me say this. The judge asked that we give, I think, $1 million, $2 million, I don't know, I forgot now, but to, women and children's, fund. Unfortunately, we can't do that now.
Because it's unconstitutional to give the private nonprofits, right?
Well,
You think that might have been a bad interpretation?
well, the monies, the ARPA funds, I think that we can give, and the contingency fund.
I'm sorry, I thought you spent our items.
Well, yes, you're right. You are right. We have spent our funds, so, but I honestly can't remember, because I did check into that, but I don't remember what the explanation was as to why. And I didn't check with the judge, I checked with someone else as to, can you give those funds? Because I was told, as you stated, that there was money. But we were going to consider doing that, but what I was planning to do, and I had mentioned this in any of the other JPs, I'm like, since we can't give raises, we can give bonuses, which we don't like to say.
That's a one-time payment, yes.
Right, but it's better than nothing, because they get nothing now, we can't afford to give raises, so. And I'm like, I just wanted to give them something, so the remainder of the money that we had in our contingency fund, 2.4 million or something like that, I would like to take that money and give it to county employees.
Oh, question. Going back to data centers, we know that Danielle has purchased county property in an unincorporated area.
Who has, I'm sorry?
ADAIO company is the Riceville Data Center owner. And we know they have bought dirt. We've seen title deeds in our research outside the city of Riceville. And we know there was a visit last Wednesday with Representative Denise Bennett and Tammy Rainey of Riceville about this. And they were typically offering to be a good neighbor and offering reassurances. And it occurred to me that one of the possibilities for this is right now you have no good land use or zoning or building permit process, and you have a county planning director vacancy in the county offices. Now, at some point, this data center company, AGO, is supposed to come and get a building permit. We've just heard that the city has assured a great deal of safety because they adopted all of these international codes for the safe operation of electricity, plumbing, wiring, on and on and on. He was telling me 14 codes is what he's mastered in his profession as a building permit issuer for the city of Little Rock. So, you have a moment, you have some time, you have some money. Would you be willing to pursue getting a county building permit process the equal of the city? Because he's reassured us the Google Center going into the port under a city building permit is going to be covered on all of the issues that are moving through the community. Water, sewer, effluent, noise, and so forth and so on. In fact, we know, just in general, and I'm confident you know this too, water and sewer facilities in the city of Riceville and the surrounding areas are pathetically below quality standards and need major infusions of upgrades. So, would you be willing to look at that? We know it's coming. So, I would leave it to you, what's your answer?
So without any, let's see how I word this.
No further research.
Yes, without any, anything to research just yet, I don't know. But I am in support of, so let me just say it this way. I'm in support of whatever we can do. If that's going to help enhance that part of our county, then I support that. Yes, so that is the easiest way to say that, because that is a fact. I think a land use plan is something that we need to adopt, but it is, some areas want it, some areas don't want it, because some areas don't want to, feel that they are being told what to do because they live in the county and they want to live without any rule, well, I won't say any rules, but with a lot of the rules that the people, folks of us in the city have to, abide by. I respect that to some degree, but I feel that if we don't adopt the land use plan, things like this are gonna happen in our county, especially in areas that are lower incomes, such as Wrightsville and.
This is a defense against imposition on low-income areas that have no defense.
Yes. And so I'm wholeheartedly in support of the land use plan, but.
Well, let's see if we can share some of this research with you and see how it might go in crafting legislation.
Most definitely.
So we will continue to share with information.
I look forward to it. Look forward to it, and I know you will.
You've just not been on that stream. I think we've reached noon. We've reached the time we're supposed to end our meeting. Is there any final question? Then thank you so much, J.B. Massey, for talking to us about county finances and future remedies. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all for having me once again.
And once again, we thank the private gift of a recorder when our tech fails through the building.
Just push it once.
We will post the link to the recording on our Facebook page, which is at CLRN.AR. So look for that tomorrow.
That's it.
You're